Someone asks you something in Mandarin. You understood it, you knew what you want to say back, but nothing come out. Or it comes out in English, or it comes out after 3 seconds. That's too late. And the moment was already gone, and the conversation has moved on without you. You see, you are not a beginner. You have words, you have started, but when it actually matters, the sentence won't start. Now, let me describe what that looks like. Not in general, but in real life. Someone asks you, 你今天做了什么? Simple question. You have heard it hundreds times. But the moment you go to answer, something locks up. You know the words, you just can't feel where the sentence begins. And while you are figuring that out, the person is already looking at you a little differently. And now you have got to pause to deal with on top of everything else. Or you want to say something even simpler, something like, I need to go tomorrow. You know the words, but the order doesn't feel certain. So you hesitate, and then it just feels too late. So you don't say it. You see, you have the words, that's the thing, and they are in there. But the sentence won't come out. And here's what I want to be specific about, because people get this wrong. You are not going blank. That's not what's happening. The reason I say you don't go blank is because you go checking. There's a difference. You see, in the half second before you speak, something kicks in. Is this the right tone? Is that the right word order? How do you actually start this? 我想说 or 我觉得 or wait, is there any better way? And while that's happening, and while that's running, 3 seconds has passed. And 5 seconds, the other person's face has shifted slightly. And now, it's not just about finding the sentence. Now you are also aware that you have been quiet too long, which makes the next word even harder to find. So you say nothing, or you switch to English, or you say 对对对 and let them keep talking so you don't have to. And then afterwards, maybe on the way home or in a shower, you think of exactly what you should have said, perfectly, in Mandarin, no problem at all. But it was too late. Here's what I want you to notice. When no one's watching, I mean, like listening on your own, reading, thinking through the sentence privately, your Chinese is actually fine, maybe genuinely good. You catch things you'd have missed a year ago. You understand before the subtitles confirms it. And the knowledge is there. So the question is not whether you know Chinese. The question is what happened to it the moment it has to come out in front of a real person, in real time, with no pause button. And the answer is this. Your Chinese doesn't disappear. Your self-monitoring gets there first. That checking process, for example, is this right? Is this natural? Would a native speaker say it in this way? Those is not helping you speak. They're replacing the speaking. They are occupying exactly the moment where the sentence needs to leave your mouth. You see, that's not a vocabulary problem, it's timing problem. And it's been getting worse quietly because every time the loop runs, you don't speak it anyway, the loop's getting faster, more automatic, more convincing. And here's the part most people didn't want to hear. You see, the people I see with this pattern, they have studied seriously, like apps, classes, tutors, notebooks. Some of them have lived somewhere Mandarin was all around them. They have put in real time. And still, the moment comes, the sentence doesn't. Why? Because most of what language study builds is recognition. The ability to understand, to read, to follow along. And recognition is not the same thing as producing a sentence out loud under pressure. They feel like they should be the same skill, but they're not. So you have been built one, mostly. And the one you haven't built enough, that's the one matters when someone actually waits for you to speak. So think about how you practice. You listen, you read, you review, you correct yourself when something wrong. You think before you write, you pause before you send. All of that is careful, serious study, and it has trained you to be careful before you speak, which feels right, until you are in a real conversation. And your trained response to uncertainty is wait, check, make sure, and the conversation isn't waiting. You see, you haven't been practicing speaking. You have been practicing to pause before speaking. And by now, the pause is very, very well practiced. So let me ask you something directly. How long has this been going on? 1 year? 3 or more? And in all that time, has there ever been a moment after a course or a round study where you genuinely thought, okay, now I feel I'm ready to speak? Has that moment actually come? Because if it hasn't, then the more of the same wouldn't get you there. The threshold keeps moving. The more you know you could get wrong. And the more careful you become, the silence doesn't shrink with your level. It grows with it. And this pattern doesn't break from outside in. It breaks from inside out by practicing differently, not more. So let me put this in 2 paths. Feel which one you are actually on. In path 1, you keep building the way you have been building. Comprehension improves, reading gets better, but every real conversation still has that window. I mean that moment where you are calculating whether to speak, and the window doesn't close. Your standards rise with your level. The expectations makes the hesitation feel even more justified. The path 2, you spoke Chinese, is messier. Tone sometimes off, things not quite right. But you are in the conversation. You started, you didn't spend 5 seconds negotiating with yourself. And because you are in it, you hear the response, you adjust, and you keep going. The hesitation shortens, the gap between thinking something and actually saying it starts to close. Both of these people studied Mandarin for years. Only one of them can use it when it matters. So, which one are you training to be right now? Honest to yourself. Here's what I will leave you. The silence isn't about your level. It's not because you are bad at languages, or Mandarin is quite hard, or you just need more month. It's a pattern. And the reason it feels so stuck is that the practice you have been doing keeps reinforcing it, not breaking it. But it can be broken. That's not a reassurance. It's just what I've seen happen when people train the right thing. And the right thing, I mean in this case, has to be live speaking. Because the problem lives in live speaking moment. It can only change in live speaking moment too. And that's what the Mandarin Speaking Breakthrough Sprint is built for. In 4 weeks, we will have live sessions, a small group of accountabilities, real spoken interactions, not drill in isolation, but actual back and forth where you have to start, respond, and keep going, even when it's imperfect, especially when it's imperfect. Well, this is not for complete beginners. If you are still laying your foundation, this isn't the right thing for you. It's for people who already know some Chinese, who understand more than they can actually produce, who have the words but lose them in the moment when they need to speak. Well, the goal isn't perfect Chinese, it's available Chinese. Because one sentence that actually come out is worth more than 100 that stay in your head. And if that's where you are, the link in the description. I see you next video.